could this be the new Dribble, or do we even want new Dribble?
My main issue with Dribble, and I think everyone else feels the same, is just that there is no real work. It's mostly just concepts. And then a client sends you, this is how I want my dashboard to look like. And it's just like some fancy UI, and you're like, yeah, cool, but I can't actually make that into a product because it doesn't make any sense, right? Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Design Diner, a podcast where we talk about design news, rebrands, new tools, and pretty much anything happening in the design space. As always, I'm Adam, and with me here is
Adam, hey everyone.
All right, we have some cool topics for today. We're going to talk about Domino's rebrand, Lay's rebrand. So two big food brands are getting sort of a redesign, which is fairly interesting. Then we're going to have a chat about Contra, which is like a design platform that's trying to expand into different directions. And then we're going to look at some social stuff that we found. So I think I'm just going to start it off with the Domino's rebrand.
Yeah, let's go.
They basically had a first design refresh in like 13 years because food brands don't like to rebrand much, right? You have to like redo a lot of packaging, stuff like that. From what I gather, it's fairly like similar to their current one. I'm gonna throw it up on the screen. But it's like more, they're not like trying to change the brand completely. They're like more trying to enhance it, maybe like lean more into the colors, the packaging style, which I feel like is interesting. Probably good move from my standpoint, because the Domino's brand is fairly like iconic, right? But I'm not sure if I like 100% like this rebrand. What do you think about it?
Yeah, well, I'm totally on board with you that it's an iconic brand, and in this case, you recognize it based on colors. So there's the red and blue, and it's like very very memorable. And that's probably what many people realize when they are hating on don't realize when they are hating on these like rebrands and stuff, usually on socials, that, as you said, there's like a lot of going into it, right? It's not just the logo, it's the whole brand identity, it's a lot of products, it's probably not in this case like design systems and all of that, but it's a lot of packaging, a lot of physical products. And we all know like what happened with the what was it, the barrel logo that just got like simplified. And then, do you remember that? It was
I'm
like,
not sure which one you mean right now.
oh, I think there was something barrel, and they like simplified the logo so much.
Oh yeah,
In,
Cracker Barrel, I think.
yeah, that instead of
Yeah.
making it iconic, they just simplified it too much and then went back to it. And I think that would happen with this as well. So I really like that they leaned into all of this, because I think it would just confuse people if it would be like completely different. So as long as it's, very similar but enhanced, I'm on board with this. It's very hard to do these. So yeah, probably a great job though.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. Domino's isn't like very popular in our country. Think they have like one spot here, and
Yeah.
it has like three stars on Google Maps or something. I never saw it open, so I don't know what the hell is going on there. But it's like I looked into the brand, and it's a huge brand in the US, and like I knew it was a huge food brand, but they are like actually like in the Nasdaq or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had no clue they were that huge. So yeah, I mean, just leaning more into the brand, I think totally makes sense for them. There is no need for a rebrand, right? Because their brand is already like pretty iconic, fairly simple. So there's like not even need to like simplify anything to be more recognizable or memorable or something like that. So yeah, in general, I also I'm a big fan of the rebrand here.
Yeah, I kind of like that they didn't really do, the black and white and very simplified as many people or like many businesses are leaning into. So everyone looks the same. I'm not a fan of that. So yeah, I mean, it looks good though. Like it's Domino's and it's like enhanced Domino's. So why not? We'll see if people like it on socials, because this is the first time I'm seeing this.
Mhm.
So we'll see what the community thinks. But I kind of like that T-shirt. Looks cool. I kind of like that though. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I feel like there's in this rebrand, what I think maybe makes it a little bit different from other companies is that there is a lot of packaging, a lot of clothing. Have you ever done brand design like that with a lot of like supporting physical things?
Yeah, once this year actually, we've done some, vans and prints and socks and this kind of stuff. And it's very hard to do unless you have Photoshop or like Illustrator because that's the standard and that's the standard format every printer shop just wants. So I've actually needed the help of a friend, so I've done like a couple of things in Figma and try to do it in Affinity because I own Affinity because I kind of refuse to pay monthly for Adobe. Um, and yeah, that's very tough. There's a lot of constraints. Then you have like the CMYK colors, and you have to work within a limited range of color palette. It all looks different, lots of testing, and then you're using a lot of color, so that can be pretty costly if it's not like in a huge uh, how do you even say it though? It's like a huge load for the manufacturer. So there are
Mhm.
like some sales. So if it would be like in smaller quantities, then it's probably even more expensive. So yeah, these things are very tough, but super cool to work on. Like that's one of the best things you can get your hands on as a designer, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Anything that involves like brand identity and graphics and posters and physical products, and then you can hold it in your hand. That's it was the most exciting part of my life probably. Like I was super excited about that project, like having vans printed and searching or doing 3D models for it and stuff. Yeah, it's totally
Mhm.
cool. Have you ever
The-
done something like that?
I did make like some very basic things like business cards, and some like ad posters, but that's pretty much it. I found it very challenging to work with different color space.
Yeah.
Not because it just behaves differently, and you have to like learn how the colors actually work in the print later on, but also because I managed to migrate pretty much my entire workflow into Figma, and Figma does not support different color space than RGB.
Yeah.
So I basically just hacked around it with some exporting tools, but it was kind of painful. And for anything like more complicated, I would definitely need to use a different tool, something more specialized. Maybe I'm kind of curious, what did you use for your design?
Yeah, well, I was forced into Figma as well
Mhm.
because the whole team worked in Figma. I usually work in Sketch now. I alternate before, like in between both, depending on the client and who I'm working with. But there are plugins to check the different color space and how it looks in print and stuff. But Figma sucks at PDF export a lot.
Yeah, that too.
And I've looked through a lot of alternatives and through a lot of plugins and even paid ones because a colleague of mine like asked me about it, that he would like pay for anything that's good. So I've
Mhm.
spent a lot of time researching, and there's nothing really that would like make it better. So the best shot is just making it in Figma to see how it looks, and then bring it into Illustrator, or just straight up do it in Illustrator because most of the guys are used to working in Illustrator and having the workflow there, so it's way easier. But yeah, that's what I've done. Just traced it over because I wasn't really familiar, but
Mhm.
you get around it. But it's not ideal for a long-term kind of thing. It's like a one-time thing where you're figuring out everything, and then you realize that the PDF export sucks. You can't do it. There's no bleed or trim or whatever you
Yeah.
need. So yeah, and then even if you do it in Affinity, because you can, and I've done some print stuff today actually for a client for a poster and a flyer and stuff. Then the shop still, like for the bigger clients, they still want the Illustrator files because that's professional, that's the standard. So when doing these, it's very important that you are in that Adobe suite.
Yeah, that's what I ultimately found out as well. Maybe a little bit more interesting rebrand though that I found that also launched this week. We have like two huge brands rebranding this week. Um, is Lace, and this one I think is a lot more interesting because because it's just visually more interesting, right?
Yeah.
When I first saw the packaging, the new one here, I thought I saw it somewhere on social media posted, and I thought it was the wrong one. It was like some older one. So I was looking for the new one, and this is actually the new one. So they went from like very simple logo, simple packaging, to something a little bit more complex, um, which I'm not sure how I feel about it honestly. Like I like the design, I guess, but it also feels like very kind of retro.
Yeah, well, I have mixed feelings about this as well, like where all of this is going, because the logo and the classic and the white and yellow like works again. It's the red and yellow for lace, or probably just the yellow. It's very recognizable. But I'm not digging that background thing right now. But
Yeah,
the
same.
logo itself, I really like when we are leaning more into like more rounded, more retro vibed shapes, just to you know target the user's emotions. I like this move though. So we need more of this, that the brands are targeting the emotions or like memories and stuff. So
Mhm.
that's good in my opinion.
Yeah, when I actually looked at it's a little bit harder to see here, but when you look at the old logo, you can see the font has like a lot more. Is a little bit more complex than the new one. But like you said, the background is actually like totally different and arguably more complex than the old gradient. Which I mean, I feel like that's fine. What I really like actually don't like is the background of the packaging. I
Yeah,
feel like that
yeah.
just looks, I don't know, like cheap maybe. I'm gonna scroll down. There was a like, yeah, different versions of the packaging. What I do like though is like the how they made the ingredients very prominent. um, I think that's super fun and something that also like catches your eye in the store, right?
Yeah, totally. It's like really important to think about that, right? Because like again, many people don't realize this, but you have to stand out when you are on the shelf, so you get noticed. I'm not sure if this would be any different from any kind of other chips because I don't buy chips, so maybe you should you maybe I don't know. But yeah, when doing stuff like this, it's very different from web design or anything we do because you have to think about how it looks physically on the shelf, right? If it gets noticed. So yeah, totally good move.
Which one do you think is I don't know if we should say better, but which design do you like more, the dominoes or the lace?
Oh, well, I like the logo itself from Lace. Just the letter form, not as a whole, like inside like the whole packaging. But I like the change in the logo, that it's not so connected, and probably there's like history behind this or some decisions. But yeah, if I would choose just based on the logo itself, I like this. It's more, I don't know, more rounded and friendly than it
Mhm.
used to be, and it feels more polished. Even like small stuff feels more polished.
Yeah, when I was looking at the dominoes rebrand, I did like I guess the colors and the direction they were heading in, but it also felt kind of like too too artificial, too corporate. It did not like connect me to the food. While this connects me to the food much more, right? You
Yeah.
have the ingredients. It's more fun. It's bold. They try to put some realistic parts, like the background. Even though I'm not like a huge fan of how the background looks, but I think it adds to the design that sort of character and realism.
Yeah, totally. And I see more and more like big brands going these little subtle changes and incorporating them. So again, it's better than doing just the black and white simplified stuff, which I don't think any of these brands can actually afford. That would just ruin them, in my opinion. Because again, we are talking about two very iconic colors, right? Because you know and you can connect to the colors just as you see them. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Maybe let's move on to something that's a little bit more digital, which is Contra. Do you want to explain us what's happening with Contra?
Yeah, so Contra has been on the radar for a long, long time right now. And recently they've opened up the community for everyone. So you don't really have to wait on the wait list for, your 20,000 spots. It's finally out and people seem to love it, or at least they were at the beginning, and now they are complaining that the algo isn't really doing it, and etc etc. So I'm curious about your take on all of this, if you've seen it, if you are using Contra, and yeah, let's just take it from there.
Yeah, so maybe for people who don't know what Contra is, they started out just as platform where you could where they would connect clients with designers, right?
Yeah.
So something like Upwork, but like hyper focused on design, and with a little bit of a different approach, but at the core it was the same. And now they launched this social media network, or like it's not, no, I would not say like social media network because that feels like a whole new product, but it's just a tab in their current website, right? um, where you can just post stuff. It's pretty much just like Twitter.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, I feel like this is one of those things that gets hype at the start, but is slowly gonna die down. I think um, I think X is just, or X or Twitter is just in such a good position right now that going anywhere else is very very difficult. Is because there's just less people. The community is much smaller, and even though the platforms like this, same thing happened with Blue Sky. If you remember, I think about a year ago there was like a huge hype about Blue Sky, people migrating to Blue Sky from X. And sure, like, yeah, some people stuck around. That platform is fairly big already, but even then, a lot of people came back to X because that initial hype where they felt like, they had a lot of engagement on their posts, they liked the algo more. Eventually they realized it's pretty much the same. It was just the hype, so they returned, and I feel like it's going to be very similar here. Do you think that makes sense, or am I like off?
I mean, like everyone is entitled to an opinion, right? And that we'll see with time. I'm more interested on what do you think like Contra versus Dribble, and how, like, if it can become a new home for creatives. Like,
Hmm.
sure, the community is probably smaller, but it's very design focused, and probably clients are there. Who knows, right? So could this be the new Dribble, or do we even want new Dribble?
uh, my my main issue with Dribble, and I think everyone else feels the same, is just that there is no real work. It's mostly just concepts, and most of the concepts are very very bad. And then you get sent, or I mean, bad in a way that they look pretty, but they don't actually work. And then a client sends you, this is how I want my dashboard to look like, and it's just like some fancy UI, and you're like, yeah, cool, but I can't actually make that into a product because it doesn't make any sense, right? There's like a bunch of graphs and stuff that doesn't make sense. Um, so yeah, I do want a new Dribble, but I think it's going to be super difficult. There's a platform called Layers. I feel like they try to directly compete with Dribble and make like a new space for designers. In my opinion, that didn't really work out. Whenever I go to Layers, there is just not enough stuff there for me to find relevant inspiration. So I always come back to Dribble. And I think Contra is going to be very similar. But I'm also not sure. I'm not sure if they are actually targeting or if they're actually trying to compete with Dribble. I felt like it was more of a social network style thing.
Well, I don't think like anyone competes with Dribble at this point, right? I think Dribble is pretty dead by now. It is what it is. Like
Well,
a lot of huge people quit it, and there's no traction. Bots, AI. It's a completely new topic, I think, and we could speak about it. Talk about it for hours. But I think they are sort of trying to be the new Dribble. I mean, you have your profile, you have your portfolio, and then every client can review and give you stars, and your revenue shows up. And now with the feed, if you post into the feed, you can turn it into your project and pin it under the profile. So you kind of have a lot of shots and turning into these explorations rather than the client work. So I'm pretty sure there will be more explorational stuff than just the client work. But I'm pretty sure it's divided into like all of the posts and then clients, with links and stuff. So yeah, I think they are directly replacing Dribble as of now with the hype and
yeah, maybe
marketing around it.
maybe we had a little bit of a different view on what Dribble actually is, because for me, I got around to design when Dribble, or taking design seriously as my work, when Dribble was already pretty much dead for finding clients and trying to like connect with clients there.
Yeah.
So I always took Dribble as just a place to go for inspiration. If we are talking about the client side of things, then I think Contra already replaced Dribble, and Dribble, like you said, is dead. Everyone who used it pretty much, or anyone serious who used it, pretty much migrated off, right? And now they are like in this endless spiral where they're trying to log down the platform more so that people don't leave, but people leave because it's more locked down, and yeah. So I think in that way, Contra is definitely replacing Dribble, and I think they're doing it very well.
Do you use Contra yourself?
Um, I tried. I have a profile set up, but um, I didn't really manage to get any clients there. I even tried like for a week being very active, applying to the job posts there. Uh, I don't. I know some people bring in clients to Contra, so that even though the lead is from somewhere else, they bring them in, and then their profile is like basically certified by having some real revenue there. I think that's a fairly good strategy. Right now, I have things set up differently, so I don't do it, but I think it's a valid approach.
I
Do you?
actually think that's a huge problem for the platform
Mhm.
because yeah, sure, like people are using Contra because it's streamlined the whole client payments and all of this. It's very easy to do. And then you earn the badge by bringing clients outside the platform, and then you earn more money because the payment is done through the platform. So you have these people with like 100K and more and more and more. And I think that's a problem because anyone then can bring it up, like bring clients into the Contra,
Mhm.
and the big and huge guys can do it
Mhm.
and just flood the whole thing. I don't think this is very like I get it. It brings clients in, it brings more traffic into your platform, and that's why people are using it, or at least that's in my opinion the main reason people are using it. But I'm not really sure if that's a good thing. I mean, yes, at one side it is a good thing because you don't really have to take care about everything, and it's very easy to process the payments through the platform. On
Mhm.
the other hand, you're kind of, faking the revenue that you've got through the platform and make it seem like the platform works and you get a lot of jobs in there. but the truth is elsewhere, and then you get more clients because you earned a lot of money and people think that you've earned a lot of money through the contra, and then
Mhm.
you're in this cycle hyping up the whole product even though you've probably didn't get any clients through the platform.
Mhm. But what do you think the alternative is? Do you think if they just somehow disabled that, how would you tell if someone is actually good at what they do if they could not showcase the number of clients they had or showcase the revenue they earned?
No, I don't think that's the issue, or at least not for me. Like, yes, you are correct. Like, you show that you had a lot of clients, a lot of happy clients, and that probably equals your good. Depends on the quality of client and how many of them, the price, etc., etc. Even though you've earned millions, doesn't mean you are good, right? There's a certain
Sure.
guy that I have in mind that might not like fit this description. Let's not go there. Um, but I think it should at least be divided. Like, show me how many clients you've got through the platform and show me how many you've brought outside. So I really know how the community and how the platform works. Like, I'm not hating on Contra at all. I'm just trying to see it realistically from my point of view, because I know setting up a profile, and I think I have like other links in there. Setting up a profile is very hard
Yeah.
to do, and very like there's a lot of work going into setting up that profile. And that's not a bad or good thing. I think it is what it is, but it takes a lot of time for you to curate the profile, get up the score. You're sort of forced into the pro subscription because, more visibility, more score points, and then you don't even know if it works because you could have just taken a client from outside and just processed the payment for the platform. Yes,
Mhm.
it's great for the platform. Yes, it's great for the marketing. Having guys like Mark and other guys that earned like 100,000 across. Again,
Mhm.
was that client through Contra, or was it through your usual networking and you just processed the payment through Contra and got sponsorship or whatever, which I don't know if they have. If they do, great for them. But you see where I'm going with this, that it's
Mhm.
a two-edged kind of thing, right? Because on one hand, I'm glad that we have a platform to go to, have community, be solely design focused. On the other hand, I'd love to have it, sort of probably like more honest, maybe honest probably isn't the right word, but more, I don't know really
You
how
mean like
to. Yeah,
more transparent, I
yeah,
guess,
more,
right?
that's the correct word. Yeah, transparent, maybe more
Mhm.
transparent, even though it probably won't happen, and it probably can't even happen because the whole hype is on earning multiple figure clients and having those badges
Mhm.
and being high profile, and it's part of the identity now, right? Because the whole hype is about that. Like, hey, go through Contra. I've earned 100K through Contra and stuff like that. So you can't really cancel it because that's the founding stone for you. Probably. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, that's a personal opinion. But
Mhm.
I've tried using Contra. I've never done the pro thing, and I've been using Contra for some time. I've tried to replace the dribble by, bringing all of the dribble shots to Contra. At that point, it was in beta, so it wasn't really well done, and it was very tedious. And then you couldn't publish those shots. Now it's very different. You can publish every shot from dribble just automatically.
Mhm.
Back then, you had to fill out a lot of links, the project, and all that kind of stuff. So it was very tedious. And yeah, there are certain issues that I have with the platform, like the badges or the
Mhm.
reviews of clients and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I even though I have a profile on Contra because I wanted to try it out, I never actually counted on it to get me clients because, uh, like you say, there's a lot of aspects to making a platform like this. You need to make a revenue as the company. You need to connect the clients with the designers. You have some sort of like extra tiers for the designers to actually get money. Then you have some commission stuff like that. And for me, basically, anytime I know, every time I see a platform like this, I know eventually it's not gonna end well. They're gonna introduce some sort of weird subscription that's gonna boost your visibility, which Contra has basically. Uh, they are gonna lock down the platform, something like that. So for me, I never really gotten into this too much, and I never had a client through it, but I like the idea of it. And I also like the idea of the social network. Maybe we could come a little bit to that, um, but I'm not sure if it's gonna last. Right? I think it's gonna die down. Honestly, are you gonna use Contra, the social part of it?
I'm trying to, like, this week is very tough. I don't really have much time for it, but I'm excited to try it out at least. So posting daily there some of my older shots or like older motion that I have. I have tons of stuff. I can post there for a year straight without doing any work. So yeah, I'm trying that, and at first I was pretty excited about it, like
Mhm.
getting good traction, around 30 to 50 likes on my first post without any follows or anything. That was pretty nice. But then the cold shower hit, and everyone, because everyone was doing it, the algo sort of, had to take that into account. And
Mhm.
now it's more about like 3 to 4 likes back to where Twitter and algorithm is right now.
Mhm.
So we'll see with the consistency and how it goes. I do not have time to connect with more people on Contra and do all of that again. It takes so much time to even do that on X because I'm just busy with clients. I don't really have time for replying for 2 hours a day and doing all of that. I love to network, and I chat with people on X that I think are interesting or I would love to work with. So I'm in the comments, I'm following, and all that kind of stuff. That's very nice and easy to do, and probably the least you could do to get more jobs. But I'm not sure if I can do that on Contra, and that might skew the view I see Contra because I haven't really done everything, so I can't really hate on it because I haven't tried, really, really tried.
Yeah, I think when you talked about connecting with people, I feel like that's my main issue with this new part of Contra. I'm not really sure who are you supposed to connect with, right? Or how is it going to be beneficial for me? I can connect with other designers, sure. That's going to um, maybe help me get better at design. Maybe it's gonna help me chat with some interesting people. But what I like about X is that I can connect with anyone from any industry. I can connect with founders, with indie hackers, even with other designers that are more focused on the business side of things, and that's the part that's interesting to me the most. And I'm not really like interested in going out or spending time on trying to reach new designers and chatting with them about designs. It's like something that is fun for me to do, but I have only so much time in a day, right? And I would rather focus on connecting with other kinds of people, honestly.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm not sure how that's gonna end up. um
And before we skip
yeah.
to one more thing, I really think that it just depends on how much time you want to put in there, and if you bring clients outside and can have all the badges. Because I
Mhm.
know a lot of people that are probably one of the best in their profession, and they got zero leads from Contra.
Hmm.
I know that Peter Tarka, the 3D designer who did Apple, Google, Spotify, all of these huge clients, and is amazing at what he does, still has zero on Contra, even though he posts shots there. So probably you have to do more, buy the Pro and all that. But it's
Yeah.
also about the funnel and where are you getting the clients, right? Is it just the platform? Then great, use
Mhm.
Contra and focus only on that because that is your main income. Or is it outside and it's all your networking and past clients and everything
Yeah.
else?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I agree with you pretty much. All right. Let's move to the social section we always have. Uh, these are mostly your posts, so I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna let you lead the way here.
All right. So, what do we have now? Let's go.
We have your super long post
Yeah, my
that
super
I
long
actually really
post.
like. I really like this one because it was like finally someone actually like wrote something interesting that's not you know I could see that you didn't like to try and make it short, right? You did not really probably care about if
Nah, not
it's
at
gonna get
all.
50,000 views.
That was like a nice surprise actually because the algo I've been tanking a lot of views and I'm still tanking a lot of views. I have like 100 on my new post now. So
Mhm.
this is I have no clue why X loves it. I was like, this is an interesting topic. Let me try what the algo does if I long form this post. So
Mhm.
and it worked. And probably thanks to Steve because he reposted me. Love ya
Mhm.
man. But yeah, I see this topic a lot, and it's about if you go into the comment, and Steve has a lovely illustration in here made in Figma, and there was a genuine question: what's the benefit of creating things like those on Figma while you can use some other softwares? And there is more and more and more people being a little more rude than this guy. He wasn't rude. He was genuinely curious.
Mhm.
But I thought that it's a great opportunity to show people that why this stuff is good, even if you are a junior, especially if you're a junior designer, why you should care and do this rather than uh, whining about it, basically. And there are
Mhm.
some big guys in the comments as well, So Apostle is a huge account on X, and he said that it's vector. Oh, you skipped it.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
vector and you can scale it, print it, anything. So it's often easier and way easier to sell to client because it doesn't really require the extra
Mhm.
money for 3D or motion and all of that, right? So it all depends on the scale. But I want to know your opinion that you have on creating this skeuomorphism in Figma, and if should juniors learn it, and then I can briefly go through my post and my thoughts about that.
Mhm. Yeah, perfect. I I see the point here in this comment. I sort of agree with it, but I think it's not the main reason why you should do this, or why even Steve does this. Right? They don't really. I feel like he doesn't promote it as, "Hey, we are turning into a 3D a Figma
Yeah.
studio that does 3D things." He posted more like, "We are practicing. We are getting more complex, and we have the skills to do very advanced stuff." And I don't think he doesn't mention that much in this post, but there was another post where he literally mentioned it as a design exercise. Uh, I'm sorry, yeah, he did it here. I just didn't read the whole thing. um, so he basically mentions it as a design exercise. I think that that's like super fun, especially if you have a team of people and they go through their daily job, right? Probably most of it is boring and repetitive. Uh, and it can be super fun to have like maybe Friday, every Friday for 2 hours you do like a design challenge on this super interesting thing, and then you can post it online, and it obviously will get a lot of traction as well. So that's my opinion on it. I think it's very cool as an exercise.
Yeah, totally. And that's basically my point in this post as well. Like, you should do this not because it looks fun or gets traction or engagements on socials, but because you are training your eye and skills and actually like imagining how light affects objects, right? So you can be more realistic, you can do more in-depth designs, you can imagine how reflections go and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And I think every junior designer should try to do this, or at least start doing this, because it trains a lot of your skills that will thank you later on. You pay attention to the tiniest of details,
Hmm.
you pay attention to lights, and on top of it, you get more familiar with the tool. So this is all done in Sketch. All of these you see are done in Sketch. It's all vector. And you train, and there's no downside to it. Like, you learn how shadows work, how different kind of modes work, because a lot of people have no clue what plus lighter or overlay or multiply in a tool does, or how a spline works, or how you bend stuff. So this is probably one of the greatest things you can do, because you learn that, masking, and a lot more. Plus, you will be able to just do the whole project end to end. And I hate that word end to end, but that's true, because I had, when I was starting at this studio that I'm helping out, and I
Hmm.
didn't know the owner, we had two designers inside one file. And then later on I asked him, like, why did we have two designers in the file, me and one other dude, that when I was doing the whole website and the other guy was doing illustrations? And I was like, why is that? I'm genuinely curious. And it was like, well, I don't know you just yet. We are getting familiar with each other. So I had to account for the time, and if you don't know how to do this, because most designers don't know how to do illustrations. And I'm
Hmm.
like, yeah, sure, that makes total sense. But this just plays into your cards. If you learn this, then you are more than fine doing, bentos, illustrations, and little motion to it, because it's way simpler than making an airport. This took 6 to 8 hours. It's way easier to do a bento in an hour than this
Yeah.
airport. So, and many people probably don't see this. They think, hey, why do this when you can do it in 3D or anything else and have motion and different kind of views? Sure, it all depends on the client expectations and the brief, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't like discard this and not do this, because it's very important for you as a person, and as you evolve into a better designer, in my opinion.
Hmm. So basically, you would recommend doing this because it levels up your skills. You know what you can do, and it makes then the simple things that you will actually make, it makes them easier to do,
And
right?
quicker. And
And faster.
quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever done something like this?
Yeah, I tried a few realistic illustrations. It wasn't. I think I tried like one physical object as well, but mostly just like very realistic looking buttons, for example, or switches that looked physical, but they weren't like real physical objects. And every time I made them, I kind of hated how much time I had to spend on it. But it was super fun. I enjoyed it. It was just I was thinking I see all these people posting it. Do they really spend that much time on making it? And then I discovered that yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So kind of calmed me down.
But yeah, in the end, you said it was fun doing it, and I think that's
Mhm.
what matters. If you're learning things and do things you like, you should have fun. And if you have fun, then it doesn't really matter why you're doing it, right?
Yep, 100%. Maybe to follow up on this, we can go to the next post that you shared here and that I also
Yeah,
saw.
totally.
This is this is about eye candy, right? So if we should, I guess, strive for these sort of very fancy designs.
Yeah, so this is a very known website. I think it's Huli.io, that website, the original one.
Hmm.
And Salmon, I think that's how the name is pronounced. If not, apologies. I've then messaged him in private message just to clear up some assumptions because there was some misunderstanding in the posts. Yeah, my main question about this was that he said, for beginners, this is the learning point. And I was very interested why this is a learning point or why it should be a learning point for beginners. And just to clarify, the whole post is about him saying that he made a tutorial. The guy probably saw it, didn't mention it, all of this, yada, yada, yada. Everyone does it. I hate it. Credit people when credit is due. That is a no brainer, in my opinion. Just
Hmm.
tag the guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, great. He's done it. He did this in a YouTube tutorial, and he has the skill to make this. So great for him. Kudos to people that can do it again. But my main concern was why this should be the learning point for beginners, and if it affects the whole community as a whole when everyone
Mhm.
does this.
Yeah, I see our concern here. I guess what you're asking about if we should start by learning fancy design, gradients, and stuff like that, or if we should maybe learn about the structure of a website, how to make something that makes sense for the users that are going to view it, stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we are getting back to dribble. That's why it's called dribble eye candy, right? Like
Yeah.
in if you go more into the replies, there's like a long conversation about like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, in my opinion, especially, I'm not sure if we just live in a bubble on X, but it seems like no one on X actually cares about this the content of the website. Or there are like few exceptions. I don't want to say no one, but um, most of people, especially starting designers, always just care about how it looks. And I think that's also because of the way that just X algo works, and or not even the algo. It's just what about people like. People like pretty stuff, and they like pretty stuff. So when you go on Design X, all you see is just pretty screenshots and graphics mostly. And then when a new designer comes in, they also focus on doing that, right? And there are very few, I think, that actually try to learn how to make a good website that works for their users. So I think that's sort of an issue on X. I'm not sure if this is also a problem outside, but I don't think it should be a starting point to try and learn pretty stuff. I think you should start from like structure and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. And that's probably the point I've commented there that, you know, I don't think this is a starting point for beginners or even a learning point for beginners, or it should be, because this website, if I remember correctly, was like 150K all in all, with
Mhm.
development and design and stuff. And I think it was created by Alex Barashkov, probably. I might be mistaking names, but I think it was him.
Mhm.
And as a junior, you will never work on something like this at the start, or even not alone. This is very
Yeah.
complex stuff. It's very eye candy stuff. And there's a lot of going on the original website. If you can like bring it up, maybe it's Huly.
HU.
Yeah, that one.
All right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of stuff going on, and the fact that this works in you is very impressive. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty smooth for all of the effects this has in the background, on the buttons, in the next sections. I think this is pretty well-known website, and
Mhm.
everyone copied it just because it looks great. The bento looks great, right? I'm not really sure about the hero, but it leaves a lasting impression, and that's probably what you want. But I think this is very complex stuff because there's a lot going on, and juniors should learn about how to switch focus, how to make colors in design to be where they should be because the client not the client, the user should be looking there, and you want the focus there,
Yeah.
plus writing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and I think this sort of hurts the whole community as a whole, because first of all, we have a lot of designs like these or imitations without a credit. That's one thing. Second thing is everyone does this pretty design, as you said at the start of this episode, and they are pretty much useless. And
Mhm.
third, when it comes to it and a client sees something like that and it has a lot of traction and the account has like 20,000 followers, then they are disappointed because they think that the guy should know what he's talking about, right? If you have that many followers and have that much traction on your posts, you should be good, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is not the case in 90% probably or more. Like there are very few people that I follow on X that are pretty good and know what they do. So yeah, I think this as a whole hurts the community because people just like pretty stuff and don't really think beyond the pretty.
Yeah, I think you summed it up nicely. It's pretty much exactly my opinion. Maybe one thing I would add is that you can't even, as a solo designer, you can't even make these things come to life. Uh, in this case, I suppose they were either very closely working with some developer team, or they even did the development
They,
themselves.
they did the do.
Yeah, because like bringing this into the website, right? They have animations, it has hover effects, it has to be optimized, it has to be scaled down properly, and you just cannot do that as a designer if you are gonna design these bentos and then like maybe describe how it should interact to the programmer. They're probably not gonna make it as you imagined, right? They're not gonna be able to.
Yeah, and
So
you have a great point because you are a Jew as well, right? So just tell me, well, how would you feel if I brought this one to you?
yeah, I would probably like do very basic. I would make it exactly as you like sent it over statically, and then I would make like very basic interactions that I felt would be good. But also, even if the developer wants to make it, often there is just like not enough time, or there is pressure from the client, from the client that hired them as well. So sometimes, even if you wanted to, you can do it, or in other cases you might not have the expertise because you did not expect this kind of complex project. Yeah, so basically you need an in-house team to do this, I think. All right. I think let's go to the last topic we have here, which is this card comparison. This is something I wanted to bring up because I was surprised how many people actually liked more the left one. The post is asking about if you prefer the left card or the right card. And in typical Twitter fashion, most people in the comments prefer the one with the gradient and glow. That is very hard to read. So no one really cares about that, I guess. Uh, it's actually like the post is actually how would you call it? It's like self-aware and joking about this thing, because if you actually read the text, it says that most people forget about readability and stuff like that. Um, I don't know how I feel about this. What do you think about like people on X just going always for gradients instead of like readable stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting nicely back to the previous one where I've mentioned it hurts the community, right? And I think it hurts the designers a lot more because I feel most of the people like, yes, there are designs that I work my like pour my whole heart into, and then it gets like zero views, and then some random shot of my bread gets more likes than that shot. It's just upsetting. So I'm not surprised that people do that. That they bait these posts for hollow and meaningless likes and ego boost and all of that. But again, it creates the problem where the client thinks the guy knows what he's doing. In fact, they have no clue.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Um, maybe what do you think about the design of it? If we go like this is obviously right. This is not great because it's like it's hard to read. If you are scanning the site quickly, you just won't read this at all. If I see a block of text like this, I'm not reading that, right? But
Yeah,
do you
you're
see?
totally right. People scan and don't read. Yeah.
Yeah, but do you see like any issues or any way that you would improve this one?
Yeah, I do. I'm not sure if I want to go into it. Can you like maybe go first and then I'll see how how much I should?
Okay, honestly, here I'm like a fan of the way the text is split up. I think it's still a little bit too long. For example, the text is just placeholder. But if you were making it for real, I would make it a little bit shorter. Uh, and then I would add some, maybe still I would add some visual flair, but just a tiny bit. Otherwise, honestly, I don't have too many notes here, so I'm curious to hear your take on it. But feel free to roast it. I think if there is
Oh,
anything to roast, we should roast. It's I don't think anyone is going to take it personally. We are just
okay. So like
trying to chat
I'm
about it.
I'm not I'm not yeah, okay. Just what I see to my eye, right? So first of all, the radius could be better on the icon
Mhm.
and the outer box. That I don't think like it matches. The card should be more rounded or the icon should be less rounded.
Mhm.
Then the actual glow and blur is probably fine. I'm okay with that. I actually kind of like that gradient-ish. I think there is a gradient. The
Mhm.
one thing
Yeah.
I just don't know why people do, and this post probably did just because of the whole post for fun and giggles, and they know. But why is the step one italics or like
Yeah.
concept? Why? Like, just tell me why. The reason behind it. I'm not sure. Like, it looks cool, so let's put it like that, or no clue. Yeah. Do
Yeah.
do you know
Yeah.
why? Like,
I think it's just because it looks cool. Maybe it would be interesting to hear your argument against it. Why do you think it should not be in italics?
for consistency, the focus shouldn't really be on step one.
Hmm.
Again, yeah, those two things probably mixing the typeface here doesn't really make sense. Because if you are going to mix two together, which you probably shouldn't in most of your projects or until you know what you're doing, it's probably just a good idea to do it for the titles, the headings. The headings should be one, and then the text should be the other. Not mixed like this, unless you're going very artistic, but that's a different style, and we are mixing it on purpose for pure art, which this is not the case. And people are doing it because they saw it in the AI era thing. Do you remember the clouds and all that kind of stuff?
I guess so, but I don't feel like it came from that. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like it came from just like one very specific designer on X who can't remember the name right now, who used a lot of italics. I feel like it came from them.
Oh, really? I don't
Satya.
know. I don't know about it. Oh, maybe. Maybe he started the trend. Who knows? I've never really thought about it that way because I just saw it on all of these, pure again eye candy dashboard clouds and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah,
All right, maybe the case as well then.
yeah.
All
But
right.
people do it because they think it looks cool and then throw all those effortless and all that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, also it's like very different when you are making a cohesive design with multiple elements together versus when you are just trying to post one card, right?
Yeah,
You probably
totally.
want it to be a little bit more visually interesting, so you also like think about it in that way, I suppose.
Totally.
Um,
And one last thing about the post that many people don't mention is the letter spacing. It's
mhm,
very tight, at least to my eye. And it's probably me because I've started studying typography and all that kind of stuff in
mhm,
the past, but it's very tight. And my friend in here, where do I post it though? I'll post it in the doc.
mhm.
the
Yeah.
post that we should like see. He made the post today, so he made a little guide for everyone how you should think about this at least, or just to see this kind of stuff,
Hmm.
because we see that it's very very close together, and in the card it was very close together as well, so it's very hard to read as
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So people should train the eye and see how things look.
Yeah, that's a super good point. I didn't even realize that. I also like started putting more and more spacing between the lines, and the text in general gets much more readable.
Yeah.
And I I would suggest for everyone to try it, because even though, like, if especially if you are a starting designer, you don't even often think about this, right? Uh, You usually leave the font as is, I suppose. But for longer text like this, it's very important to play with the spacing a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
All right. I think we covered all the topics for today. If you don't have anything to add.
No, that's everything.
All right. We again landed at an hour from our intended 30 minutes.
We can't seem to make it shorter, right?
Yeah, and I even tried to like skip through the topics when I felt like it was getting a little bit repetitive, so that we would hit the 30 minutes. But
Yeah,
it's just
I
it's
should
just
talk less.
no, no. I think it's interesting when you go deep into the topics. Honestly, I would much rather do that than try to skip through it and just have it as news. All right. So in that case, that's everything from us, and make sure to like the video if you liked it. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more from us, and we'll see you next week in another episode. See
Have a
ya.
great day, everyone.